Okay, so I want to start us here in Wineburg chapter 8 with his question. So let's begin with a brief exercise. Who are the most famous Americans in history, excluding presidents and first ladies? Go ahead, list your top 10, I can wait. Okay, and then what it happens is Weinberg and others sent this question to 2000 11th and 12th grade students throughout the United States. And they answered, and we're going to go through this chapter a little bit and see how they answered. Now, I asked this question very differently when I would start my classes. I would ask students, who in your lifetime, who's living right now, who around you will be in history books 100 years from now? So don't mention, not including presidents. Who 100 years from now will be in a history textbook? And a lot of the answers I often get are sports heroes. So like I remember when Michael Phelps, the swimmer, was winning umpteen gold medals. A number of students were like, Michael Phelps, Michael Phelps. And in my head I was thinking, probably not. Because when we think about like who's in history textbooks, who gets mentioned, it tends to be people who have an impact on politics or economics or society. So maybe some of the tech people, some of the Tesla or Zuckerberg or something like that. And so, okay, so in this chapter they go through who do the people who do they answer? Why is that making it bigger and smaller? Okay, so the answers that they found for today's teens, the most famous American history were Martin Luther King Jr. appeared on 67% of all answers. Rosa Parks at 60%. Harriet Tubman at 44%. So these are the people who get the most percentage. And if you look at this graphic to the right here, you're going to see who these people are. So we have Benjamin Franklin, we have Rosa Parks and King. Who else do we have? Is that Oprah? I don't understand how to use this. But anyway, so yeah, so Amelia Earhart got listed with 23%. Benjamin Franklin, Oprah Winfrey. So all kind of fascinating. And then some other people, outside of this top group are Betsy Ross and Henry Ford. Marilyn Monroe gets mentioned. Albert Einstein. So these are like, who are statistically who gets listed the most. And what the rest of this chapter looks like is like, how did some of these people get here? Especially Harriet Tubman. Because Harriet Tubman's not new, so Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, these are people who've lived within the last several generations. Harriet Tubman is back in the 19th century, there's even a major motion picture about her, film about her, but she wasn't in history textbooks in the 1940s, 1950s. And so we looked at overall in the past, people would answer, seems that Paul Revere and Betsy Ross, they would answer, Paul Revere, made famous for, riding on a horse during the American Revolution, and Betsy Ross made, famous for, the American flag. But so the chapter basically gives that a concept that maybe our understanding of students and their approach to history isn't so bad after all. That they're remembering important people. They're remembering influential people. Interestingly enough, these are influential people largely in terms of race relations relative to white and black. I find very interesting that the list, with the exception of Albert Einstein, is profoundly either white or black. That there are not famous Americans in history who are either Native American or other immigrant Americans, really. And so this is just some interesting things from what Weinberg and his colleagues find. And what I want you to think about are, who would the people you would list, who would they be? And then also think, who would be the people you would say 100 years from now, who living now might get into that list? 100 years from now, who might be in the list of Most famous Americans in history, like people that are mentioned, not presidents, because I think Barack Obama would get into that list for a number of reasons. But anyway, so that's the chapter 8 in Weinberg.